Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Laura and I have a 2-year-old son named Brantley. I just put him down for his nap so that I could film this video, and it's his nap time, so he's gonna take his nap while I do this. Today's video is going to be my labor and delivery story. So like I said, my son is 2. He just turned 2 yesterday, so it has been 2 years since he's been born. So I don't have like specific times. Sorry, the cat is back there. I've tried to get him out of the room and he just will not leave me alone. So, but anyways, yeah. So since it's been so long, I don't have specific times and of everything, when everything happened, just because of the situation at the time. I wasn't writing it down, I wasn't doing YouTube, so I didn't document anything really that great. So I wrote down as much as I could remember, and we're just gonna go from there, and I'm gonna take care of this cat for a second. Okay, so basically what happened was on Tuesday, October 25th of 2016, I had my regular OBGYN appointment. I went to the appointment. At the time, I was watching John's nephew, so I had my mom come and watch him while I was going to my appointment. I thought it was going to be quick and go fine. Sorry if you hear any noise, the cat is now playing right outside the door. But anyways, I had my mom come and watch the little boy that I was watching so that I could go to my appointment, and I thought it was just gonna be a quick regular appointment, kind of an in and out thing, but that is not what happened. Basically, when I went in, the appointment went fine, it went good, but they were concerned about my blood pressure. It was pretty high, and like I said, I don't have exact numbers or anything, so I don't know exactly what my blood pressure was at. So my blood pressure was really high, so they sent me over to the hospital, which was right up the road from there, and just to be monitored and see how everything was going. So I went to the hospital. They monitored me for about an hour, monitored the baby and everything, and they said that they determined that I had preeclampsia, which I had severe swelling. Like, my ankles and feet were huge. I actually have a picture of it, but I'm not going to put it in because that'll gross people out, but it is really nasty. My feet were so swollen, like my whole body was really swollen. I have pretty much stretch marks everywhere now just because of how swollen I was. So that really sucks. But yeah, so I was really swollen, and that's like one of the main symptoms of preeclampsia. And my normal doctor, actually, when I saw her in like towards the beginning of my pregnancy and I was showing swelling, she said you might want to just mention it to the OBGYN and talk about preeclampsia a bit. She's like, because you may have that. And I did ask him about it at that time, and they said, no, you don't have any other symptoms besides having swelling. Your blood pressure is fine at the moment and everything like that. So they didn't know that I had preeclampsia, or I didn't get it until closer to the end of my pregnancy. So anyways, yeah, I was at the hospital for an hour, and they determined that I had preeclampsia. So they said, so at the time I was about 36 weeks. Yeah, I was 36 weeks and 1 day. So they said, we're going to schedule you for an induction when you're exactly 37 weeks. So I was shocked because I thought I still had about a month left in my pregnancy. So I was excited, but also kind of scared and surprised because I didn't really know. I mean, you just don't know what's gonna happen. So now it was like, okay, we have a day, I'm going in, going to be induced, we're going to have a baby next week. So they let me go home. They scheduled me for another appointment on Friday, October 28th at my OBGYN. So I went into the hospital, I went into my appointment, and they checked my blood pressure again, and they said that it was really high and I needed to go back to the hospital. So again, my mom was watching the little boy that I was watching at the time. So I had to send her a message and say, hey, I'm getting sent to the hospital. They're basically going to induce me and start this labor to have this baby now, because my blood pressure was at a really high rate and it was not safe for me. So I went to the hospital. They hooked me up to an IV, and we started they started giving me blood pressure medicine to monitor that, and that medicine actually makes you really loopy and just not able to do things really on your own. So this is where it gets a little bit fuzzy because I'm not really sure exactly when things happened and kind of in what order. So I know the first thing they did was we did like this pill that goes in you and that was to start like to try to like kickstart my body into labor, because my body was not ready for labor. Brantley was not ready to come out. He was head down, but he was just kind of floating around up there. He wasn't ready to come out. He's perfectly comfortable in there. He didn't want to. So basically everything we did was a push to get him out because he just didn't want to. And my body just wasn't progressing like they were hoping it would with everything that we tried. So we literally tried everything possible to get him out, and that's how he got out. So it was a really long, hard process, and with me being on the different medicines to help my blood pressure and just doing everything, I was just like exhausted and overwhelmed, and I just like wanted to go home basically. And obviously I couldn't because I needed to have this baby, and they were monitoring me because who knows what could have happened if my blood pressure didn't stay at a good level once they started the medicine and everything. So anyways, yeah, on Friday, they hooked me up to the IV. We tried that pill that goes in you, and that helped a little bit, and I think after the pill I was about 1 to 2 centimeters dilated, so that's not enough to start pushing. And then they tried to, because of the medicine that I was on, they were saying that it would make me kind of loopy and dizzy, so I wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom on my own, like get up and walk around on my own. I was basically supposed to stay in the bed, and they were going to hook or like put in a catheter, which is, if you don't know, is basically something that goes in you and you don't have to like get up and use the bathroom. It just like drains your pee out of you. And I really didn't want to have to do that, but I told them I would try it and just see how it went, and then if I didn't like it, that they would just take it out. So I did try it, and you know what, it was terrible. I will never do that again if I really don't have to, because it was really painful, really uncomfortable, and I'm like I don't like to be touched really, like I don't want anybody in anything. So I was already really uncomfortable, and all of that was going on was really just terrible, and I was crying and I just didn't want it in, so they took it out, and that was painful also. And then I was like, I will get up and walk to the bathroom. I'll call a nurse to help me to the bathroom when I need to go to the bathroom. Like, I'm not using that. So they ended up taking that out, and then I would just have help to walk to the bathroom. We would have, my mom was there and John was there, so they would help me walk to the bathroom. And if it was only one of them, we'd call a nurse, or if it was the middle of the night, I would call a nurse to help me walk to the bathroom. So that was fine. And then basically they tried the next, like I said, it's kind of blurry, but the next thing that I remember trying was this balloon. And basically they put the balloon again inside you and they blow it up, and that is supposed to slowly start to dilate you. So that did work. It got me up to about 6 centimeters dilated, I believe, and it ended up falling out on its own in the toilet, which is good because then they didn't have to take it out. It fell out on its own, which means it did its job and it worked, so that was good. And then after that we started Pitocin, or no, I think Pitocin was started first and it wasn't working, so then they were trying all these other things on top of it, and everything was crazy, and everything to me was just like really disgusting, and I just felt bad for nurses that had to help me and anyone that had to help me, because it was like just really gross and really just not the best situation and experience. But so after the balloon thing, they wanted to break my water to help get Brantley down and like into the, I think into like the birthing canal and stuff, to actually start being able to start pushing him out. And I was considering just getting a C-section at that point because I was just like, I felt terrible. It was like just really emotional and draining doing all these things, and I was in a lot of pain and everything was just really uncomfortable. So I really considered getting just a C-section, and then I decided that I really didn't want to do that if I didn't have to. I know that the healing process for a C-section takes a lot longer, and it can be like just really not good afterwards, and all the things that can go wrong with like your scar and all this stuff. So I decided to do an epidural first, and then they broke my water. So the epidural went fine. It didn't hurt like at all. It was fine. And then they broke my water, and the nurse that I had gave me like the little clicker thing that you can click every however long to like add more medicine or whatever, and I totally did not think that worked. I was like clicking the button, I'm like, this is not working. I could feel the contractions. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was in so much pain even with the epidural. I don't know how people do it without an epidural. But yeah, and then the doctor came in and checked me, and they're like, oh, you're ready to start pushing. We can push, we can start pushing this baby out. So right away I'm like trying to push this baby out. They're trying to break down the bed and everything, and I'm just like pushing this baby out. And the doctor's like, oh yeah, you can do it, you keep pushing, blah blah blah. And I'm like, can you just pull him out? And she's like, no, he doesn't have a handle on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And they're like laughing, and I am like dead serious, get this baby out, I'm trying. And then the whole time I had this really strange nurse, and she's trying to get me to take my blood pressure medicine because it was like time for me to take it, I guess. And I'm in the middle of labor, and she's trying to get me to take this. I'm laying on my back pushing, and she's like, Laura, do you think you can take this? I was like, no, like I'm in the middle of pushing, like get away from me. She was like kind of an odd lady, and she was, of course, had to be the one that was there when it was time for the baby to come. Like every other nurse I had was awesome and knew what they were doing. This lady was kind of like spacey. So, but whatever, she was like trying to do this to get me to take that, and it just like wasn't happening. But okay, so yeah, then he finally was out, and they put him on my chest, and we laid with him, and I was in shock. John cried a little bit. He teared up and cried, and my mom was there as well, and she was really happy and excited because after everything that we had been through, the baby was finally here. And I was just like in shock. When they laid him on my chest and put him on me, my eyes were wide. I was just like in shock. I couldn't believe that I pushed out this baby. And I feel like so many people, they cry and just think it's this most beautiful magical thing, and I didn't really have that experience. Not because I don't love my baby or didn't love my baby, because I do very much, and I did love him when he, like, I was so excited, but I was in shock after everything that had happened and how long it took to push him out, and or not necessarily push him out because it didn't seem like it was that long, but just how long it took to get to that point, and everything that I had been through to get him out, and just how crazy it was. And he was so tiny, and I was just in shock. I couldn't believe that I did it, that this was my baby, and I just pushed him out and we created him. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was just in shock. So it was insane. So he was laying on my chest, and I'm just holding him and like hugging him, and he actually ended up taking a huge poop right like in my bra, and it was disgusting. My mom like cleaned it out and stuff, but it was so gross. He pooped like all over me. But yeah, it was a crazy long experience. I really hope that whenever I have another baby, I don't get preeclampsia, and I hope that nobody has to go through what I did. I know there are much worse things, but it really was a struggle, and it really was kind of like a traumatizing experience. You know, not the birth that anyone really hopes for, but afterwards, I remember like the next day, and like when my blood pressure, when I didn't have to take the blood pressure medicine anymore, and I was kind of mellow, like getting back to my normal self, I remember just feeling like so proud of myself for getting through it and for pushing my baby out. And it's like this overwhelming, amazing feeling of just being so proud of yourself and so happy to have your baby. And yeah, I can't even explain it. If you have a baby, if you've had a baby and know that feeling, like, you just know it's amazing. But yeah, so that is the story of the labor and delivery. I think I may do a part 2 about what happened after that with Brantley, because we did not get to go home at the normal time, like the normal few days after that. When your baby's okay, you get to go home. That unfortunately didn't happen for us. Now, I know normally, at least in the hospital near us, you go home 2 days after the baby, as long as everything's good and you have a normal pregnancy and a healthy birth and a normal birth and all of that, everything goes good, you go home at after 2 days. And then if you have a C-section or anything goes wrong, you go home after 3 days. So because of our situation, I wasn't supposed to go home until 3 days after, and I did. I got discharged from the hospital 3 days after I gave birth. Brantley, however, did not. So I think I might do a separate video about his story with the hospital and what he went through after being born and forced into the world. But yeah, so if you're interested in seeing or hearing about that, I will do a video about that. But that is everything about the labor and delivery. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.